Welcome to Tech Talk, y'all.
Hi, and welcome to Tech Talk, y'all, episode 375. I'm Adam Walker.
And I'm Sanjay Park, and I cannot believe it's 375 episodes already.
Dude, it feels like a big number,
right?
Yeah, like something about it feels really big. Yeah,
we both said that at the same time. We did not plan that in advance, by the way.
Yeah, we're twinsies. It's fine. Yeah, we're twinning it up.
I feel like I'm looking in a mirror. do you know what that's from? What that line's from?
No, I don't have any idea.
Come on.
I might have seen it yesterday. I still wouldn't know what that line is from. What is that line
Classic
from?
movie. It's Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito.
That is one of the best Arnold Schwarzenegger movies of all time. Like, for real. Like, it's so, you're right. That is so good. And I love that movie.
I believe that's Danny DeVito's line.
It is,
and he's like, I feel like I'm looking in a mirror.
Yeah, that's because Schwarzenegger looks at him like, we're twins, and whatever his vernacular is. And yeah, Danny DeVito's got some spunk. I like that guy.
He does.
Yeah.
I've always liked him as an actor.
Yeah. I liked him in Taxi a lot. Did you ever watch Taxi?
I didn't watch Taxi.
Yeah, he was good in Taxi.
Much,
yeah. So, listen, we got a lot for you today. A lot of a wide variety of things for you today, including talking about sports drinks, which is a little off topic, but I had to tag it. And some good, weird, and wacky for you today, plus tech wrecks at the end that you don't want to miss out on. So let's dive in. You want to start?
Yeah, let's. First up is a little segment on AI stuff. We've got a couple of stories for you. OpenAI expects revenue will triple to $12.7 billion this year, source says. First of all, I didn't realize they were already at like $4 billion. How are they at $4 billion is my
People
question.
like me, man, $20 a month. Like, don't even think about it. I mean, I use that thing so much and it is so useful. I don't know how I'll ever go back to it's going to be a subscription for the rest of my life.
I got to admit, I am actually on this train as well, but I use Anthropic's Claude. I really do enjoy it. I was talking to somebody the other day about it and how, so I'm helping a startup right now. And I actually took all of their bank statements, dumped them into Claude and told it to analyze all of them and give me all of the recurring expenses and give me an analysis on that. And it helped me kind of prioritize and figure out where to cut expenses for them and really let me focus on the big ones first. And if I could have done this by hand.
It would have taken you a day, a full day.
Yeah, it would have taken me time and I probably would have missed something. And I'm sure Claude probably missed something too. But I've had to do it over and over again as new things have come in. And I'm pretty sure I've caught most everything because of it. So listeners, if you haven't used one of these tools, give it a try. I will definitely tell you, and I think you're probably on the same boat as this, the free version is useful, but the paid version does a lot more.
So good.
It might be worth a trial. OpenAI, you're paying $20 a month. So like $240 a year. I think I'm paying like $100 or $150 a year for Claude. So it's roughly in that ballpark. We're just driving more revenue to all of these companies.
I mean, it's just crazy.
And driving them to higher heights.
But I mean, the analysis level is so good. I mean, just loading. I mean, I've done it for tons of stuff. I've looked at business deals, like load in this big 20-page PDF business deal. Like, give me the details on this, and I'll be like, oh, well, this number looks off compared to the industry average, but this number looks good, and this is blah blah blah. And I'm like, great. I didn't have to go look up the industry average. I didn't like all of it. Just consolidated for me through. Gets rid of all the fluff. It even. This is so crazy. I was messing around with it the other day and I had it create like a talk outline for me for something. And then it was like, oh, would you like for me to create a PowerPoint presentation for you? And I was like, yes, I would. And it created a legit Now it was ugly. Like it was an ugly PowerPoint presentation. Super basic, just text on white slides, but it did it. And it was pretty well done. So it's just crazy what all I can do.
Yeah,
so,
I was. I'll tell you this too. Last kind of note about these kinds of things. I was at an event that you were supposed to be at just recently, but you weren't there.
Sorry, I had a kid thing.
And talking to somebody that we work with, so you probably know who this is. And they were telling me that they've been using these tools now to dump in people's resumes and come up with questions to ask them during an interview.
Oh, man.
Based on that. And they were like, it was fantastic. It came up with questions that they wouldn't have thought of themselves to ask like kind of detailed, interesting questions. So I thought that was super fascinating.
To that point, last week, our buddy Mickey, he wrote a blog post about this and I tried it. So I dumped in a name and email address of somebody I was about to have a meeting with. I was like, hey, like look up some stuff on like recent stuff for this person that I can bring up in my meeting with them if it comes up. And it gave me this huge background, all this interesting information.
Oh, wow.
Like really prepared me for that meeting. And then now that person I was meeting with was a relatively public figure. So it made it a little easier. I mean, if they were super private, it wouldn't do any good. But I mean, it was shocking how well it prepared me for that meeting. So so many uses. It's crazy.
There used to be a startup that I loved and it got crushed called gist.com.
Yeah,
that
I remember
basically
Gist,
you remember that? So it would pull,
it
would search for people that you know and see if they've got, blog posts or news articles or whatever. They were acquired by BlackBerry and then they shut them down.
Yeah, I mean, as those types of things do.
It was such a great idea and I love that tool.
It was good.
Bit,
yeah.
It is what
All right. Speaking of new tools to love, trapping misbehaving bots in an AI labyrinth. This is from our this is from our people that we love, Cloudflare. And basically when they recognize on your website that it's being, crawled by a bot, especially one that's disobeying the robots.txt file, they basically serve up to that bot AI generated garbage for it to just continuously crawl in loops across your site to screw with it. I mean, is that correct? Like,
yeah, basically. So just a little bit of details there. Robots.txt, for those of you that have never had to build a website, is a file that websites have in kind of the root directory. So if you go to, any website like duckduckgo.com/robots.txt, it'll come up with a little text file that will tell robots that are properly behaving what to search and what not to search on that website. So it's a good way to keep robots from indexing things that really should not be indexed, either for security reasons or for reasons that they just shouldn't be in a search engine. So a lot of these people now, because it's so easy to build these things, are building AI bots. So what's interesting about Cloudflare is that they've generated all of these this labyrinth for AI to kind of deep dive into beforehand. They're not doing it in real time. That way they can serve it very, very quickly. So they've basically pre-generated just tons of content that is basically garbage.
So good
to send these things. So good. Look, if you're going to have your stuff not work properly, then it's going to be fed a lot of garbage. I think this is totally fair and legit. And I'm so glad Cloudflare did that.
And you can opt in on their free plans too. So like anybody that uses Cloudflare I can do it right now on all of my sites if I want to, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So
I've not yet enabled that, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to. So
it seems very likely. Yeah.
Something else that you should be thinking about using, and we've talked about it many times on this podcast. And apparently people in administration are listening to this podcast as well. So hey, welcome there. Trump officials texted attack plans to a group chat in a secure app that included a journalist. Of course, that secure app is Signal, which we have talked about many times here. Here's the thing that I found.
Isn't that journalist the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic also?
Yes.
Okay, please continue.
Yes. Okay, the editor-in-chief you included in a group chat with the vice president, the secretary of defense, the head of the CIA, a bunch of other folks. I can't even remember everybody that was on there.
Give me your thoughts. And I've got a few too. Yeah, I got.
So here's the thing. So I've got many, many thoughts. First of all, I've been watching journalists talk about this, and they clearly don't understand Signal, and they're saying things about how it's insecure, this, that, and the other. I'm like, no, actually, as a platform, it's insecure. The issue is that they were using like commercial devices to do this stuff. Which those are insecure. Like if your device, which presumably, look, if you're the vice president or the secretary of defense, you know that malicious actors around the world are trying to get, some kind of malware onto your device.
Right.
You cannot trust that that device is secure. And you should not be using it for these kinds of things. So you should be using secure devices.
Oh, I didn't even think about that angle at all.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So Signal itself is secure, but if the device is not secure, then
what's the point? Yeah, that's right.
At that
so
point,
your point is like, not only should they not have used Signal, they shouldn't have been using the device that they were using Signal on to talk about these things, which is that's a whole nother layer right there. Yeah.
Right. And so here's the thing, like a lot of these journalists that are talking about it are just basically, it's not secure for this. Well, technically it is.
Yeah, but the device might not
be, right? So that's where the downfall comes.
Interesting.
And so I find it, this is this thing that we have talked about many times where you have people that are talking about technology that don't actually understand technology. And it's not a knock on journalists. Like, look, you've got to talk about a lot of things.
Yes.
but you really should get somebody that understands technology intimately when you have to talk about these things that are so technical.
Right.
And I think the same thing applies honestly to Congress. We've talked about this in the past about, the internet is just a series of tubes.
Right?
Like,
I was waiting for that. Yes.
just don't talk about technology, and leave it. So I will say there's another article too that I saw that we did not tag, that signups for Signal have increased dramatically.
I bet they have. I bet
in the
they
last
have.
couple of months, because look, if it's good enough for people to talk about, secret classified plans of bombings, like it's probably safe for everything else. So there you go. So
that's good.
What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Oh man. So I'll be honest. I'm honestly tried to stay away from watching any news about this, or even like here's the problem I have with things like this, right?
Because you don't want to be added into a group chat with the Secretary of Defense. Is
that's why? Yes, I'm afraid I'm going to get added in. No, I mean, what bothers me about stuff like this is it gets so politicized by either side for either weaponization or not, that it's hard to know what's real and what's not. And so, if a Democrat had done this during Biden's administration, the Republicans would have been on fire. I mean, just absolutely flaming, burning down the Capitol. But, because it was their guys, it's no big deal. So it's hard for me to know what's real and what's not. I think your point is actually the best point that I've heard about this, which is, it's not about what they were saying necessarily. It's not even about the fact that they're talking about a war, or even peripherally whether or not it was top secret information or not, which I think you could argue that it was classified, even though it wasn't formally classified based on some of the Trump administration's executive orders that have said things are classified when they're related to war plans. But that's neither here nor there. To your point, talking about that on even those devices that can even install Signal alone is a terrible idea, which I think is actually the best take that I've heard on this so far. Which again, I've tried not to hear any takes on it.
Yeah, I think there's another layer too. That's more importantly as kind of what we believe in as a country and what the rules are, is that all of these communications are supposed to be saved and stored for future kind of reference. Like there's a Government Records Act that all of this, so you can't do that on Signal. And on Signal, they actually put in a thing which one would argue like this is a good thing, but it's not a good thing for this reason, is that the messages were set to auto delete after a week, and then it was set to 4 weeks, right? Like in terms of security, like that's a good thing if you're going to do it on a commercial system, but it's not, because these things need to be saved. And like, look, maybe they're not going to be released anytime soon, but like what we just saw is the president released the records for the JFK assassination and the Martin Luther King assassination. Right? Like these things are part of the historical record, and they are important to understand what our government has done in the past, right or wrong. And it's important to have this stuff saved for researchers in the future to really understand the development of our country over time. So that's the other reason why this is not a good thing.
I should have figured you'd have very unique takes on this. Those were both very unique takes. I like that a lot. That was actually really helpful. I appreciate it.
And I think other people have talked about these things too. And so, we'll see what happens. I think if it was a different party that was in control of Congress right now, somebody would be losing their job. 1,000% losing their job. But it is what it is. We'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah. All right. Next up, JP Morgan says quantum experiment generated truly random numbers. And I love this article because as you dig into it, it's like, hey, you know that random number generator app you have on your phone? Yeah, it's not really random. It's based on an algorithm, and therefore is not truly random. And this is truly random for the first time. It's the first time it's truly random. But didn't we go back? But didn't we talk about wasn't it Cloudflare that's got the lava lamps that are doing their thing? Kind of so. Isn't that truly random?
So yes, that is truly random as well.
Okay. Yeah.
But I guess it's not as widely available. Maybe, I don't know. And then it's interesting you mentioned this, because they just recently had another blog post about another office that used not the lava lamps, but some kind of wave motion devices. They have a wall of those for truly random. The thing that I find interesting about this article is that there was a lot of hand wringing and heartburn about the impending kind of deployment of quantum technology, quantum computing, and how that was going to break all encryption.
Yeah.
And now we're coming around and being like, well, actually,
you can use it for encryption.
So it's not going to be able to break itself. It's going to break the old stuff. So we're just going to move on to the new stuff.
Yeah.
And this is the first part of that puzzle. So I think it's really, really fascinating. And I think it's a great thing. Now, as long as, of course, going into the next article, a win for encryption, France rejects backdoor mandate. So this is super, super interesting. France rejected this mandate.
Yeah.
Surprising that a government
going
would
down
do
that
this.
path. Yeah.
Yeah, to implement and require that there would be a backdoor into these encryption services like Signal.
Right.
Right. And so this kind of goes hand in hand with what we just said. So, quantum, random numbers don't really mean much if you're going to put a backdoor into stuff.
Right. Right.
So
yeah.
This is a good thing. So if you're looking to move someplace that respects privacy and encryption, France just shot to the top of the list.
I mean, that's helpful. That's helpful. Speaking of things that maybe are less helpful, how celebrities like Mark Wahlberg and Gwen Stefani are monetizing spirituality through the Hallow app. This could have been a weird and wacky, but it's related to an app that's at the top of the Google Play Store. It's called Hallow. The app is about prayer. It's like the #1 Catholic app in the world. It's got like however many million users, and you've got like Chris Pratt, Gwen Stefani, Mark Wahlberg, all of these people sort of getting into like this spirituality and encouraging people in this app. So like, I think maybe spirituality is becoming a fad again. I don't know. I don't think I'll be downloading this app based on the recommendation of Mark Wahlberg or anything. But I do like his movies.
Marky Mark.
I enjoy his movies. I do. Yeah. But in the Funky Bunch is great, but I just, I do love Chris Pratt. Genuinely. He seems like to be an amazing individual. Of all of the people that listed, he was the one that was like, oh, well, at least he's, I admire him more than the rest, I should say. But it just seems
you're
weird
not going
to
to
me.
follow back Holla Back Girl? I mean, Gwen Stefani, come on.
No, I think I'm okay. I think,
so are all these people Catholic? Like, I don't know.
I assume so. I know Mark Wahlberg is. I assume Gwen Stefani. I don't know. I don't think Chris Pratt is though. Interestingly enough. It's just weird. It's weird to me. It's a weird thing.
Is this just for a lot of these folks, like a payday, basically?
I think it is. Yeah, I think. And that's what the article was saying is like a lot of these people are like promoting it a lot, but then like they're in a ton of their commercials for this app too. So like they're probably getting some kind of kickback on it or something. Like, I don't know. It's weird. So
it's the celebritization of religion, I guess.
I like how you like stumbled through it's like that was like a Michael Scott moment.
So I was like,
it was like it's like when Michael Scott says like I start a sentence sometimes and I don't know where I'm gonna go with it. You did that with a word. Like you started a word and you didn't know where it was gonna go and you just sort of made it up as you went. That was beautiful.
That's
really.
true of basically most words I say and most sentences I say too.
That's probably true. Yeah.
And talking about somebody who doesn't know where it's going to end, where they start. Lyft to roll out robo-taxis in Atlanta. Interestingly enough, just yesterday or the day before yesterday, I was coming home and I pull up next to a car and it's got the big gigantic laser scanny camera thingy. It was a Lyft car and I look over, there was a person driving the car, like in the driver's seat. And I was like, okay, you're just like, scanning all the stuff and whatever. I didn't like nod to the guy or anything. I was just like, I just looked over, I was like, okay, whatever. And just kept going about my business. But yeah, they're coming.
What I want to know about these self-driving cars is like, what happens when Atlanta gets icy that once every 10 years? Like, can you order a driverless car at that point? And I wonder, how does that go? Like, what even happens? It hits a patch of ice, you spin around, you're like, wee, it's a roller coaster. Like what? I don't know.
I don't think you're going to go, wee, it's a roller coaster when that happens in a car. Because that's not what's supposed to happen. Like you go wee in a roller coaster because that's what's supposed to happen.
I mean, that's a boring take on it, but okay.
Time for the Weird and Wacky segment.
Abominable snowman.
He's not an axe murderer.
One of the TAs turned out to be a bot.
All right, first up in Weird and Wacky, Steph Curry teams up with Michelle Obama to launch sports drink. So I just thought this was interesting because the sports drink industry is so crowded. I was fascinated too that Gatorade's got like 61% market share. Powerade was like 14%. and then body armor was like 11% or something. I forget the numbers, but like I knew Gatorade dominated. I didn't know it dominated more than half. Like that's wild to me. But then they're coming together and they're saying like it's no added sugars, no artificial sweeteners. It's just a healthier sports drink, which that's great to me, because every time I go buy Gatorade for like an event or for like my kid, I'm like, this has so much garbage in it. Like I don't like this at all. And so I think this is amazing, amazing use of kind of their like, and I mean, who doesn't love Steph Curry and Michelle Obama too? Like, right. Like they're like two of the like most likable people on the planet, in my opinion. So,
I gotta say, I'm sure there are a bunch of coaches out there going, yeah, you know what? I would rather be dumped with this than Gatorade, because I always think about this. First of all, as a coach, as you're about to win the game, now you're wet. And you're sticky.
Oh, it's gross,
right?
Man. So gross. Yeah.
So at least with this, you're just going to be wet and not sticky, because there's no sugar or anything else like that. The other thing is, did you watch the show Mr. Throwback on Hulu?
No.
It's a show about Steph Curry. It's a fictional thing.
Okay.
I feel like he is everywhere. He is like, okay.
He is everywhere. He's getting ready to retire.
He's business.
That's right.
So let me just do all the things. I got to tell you, the show, it didn't hit it for me.
Okay.
It was kind of funny here and there, but I don't know. It just, I can't see a second season of that show. So
fair enough.
It's what it is.
Speaking of things you can't see.
Yeah.
Shouldn't hear.
Can't see and shouldn't hear. Country song dedicated to Elon Musk is completely ridiculous, as if you needed to know that last part.
Did you watch any of the video or listen to any of it?
I did not.
It's good, because it will embed its stupidity in your brain. And you will be so sorry that you ever listened to the hook. It's like the article we tagged is like, it's like AI written lyrics. And like, it's this country artist, singer, influencer woman standing on the back of a Cybertruck, like singing this love ballad to Elon Musk, thanking him for how he's helping our country. And I mean, it like when you've got like country songs dedicated to Elon Musk and praise and worship songs about Donald Trump, I'm just like, what is happening? Like, what is happening? I just can't. I just can't even.
All of this would have been better happening in the year 2000, because then we'd be just like, okay, it's done. Yeah. Y2K.
It would have been like, we would have laughed at it in the year, in 2005, if you'd have said like, this is what's going to happen in 20 years. Like this is like, we would have laughed our butts off about like, there's no way Trump's in the White House and they're singing praise and worship songs about that dude. Like, you've got to be crazy. No, that's what happened.
What you're kind of reciting here is exactly what happened in Back to the Future, when Marty McFly tells Doc Brown that Ronald Reagan is president. And he was like, the actor,
you've got to be crazy. You're nuts. Elon Musk, the PayPal guy in 2005 is going to do what? He's going to come out with a totally steel truck that falls apart and things are falling off on the interstate. It gets recalled 1 million times and it costs over $100,000. And then they're going to write a song about it. Are you serious?
Yeah,
right,
that's not real.
That's never going to
real.
happen. It's never going to happen.
Never going to happen.
It did.
We're living in a timeline that shouldn't. We diverged at some point. I don't know what point it was, but something went wrong.
Something went wrong.
Something went wrong in the timeline. Yeah. But things that haven't gone wrong for some people, because they're trying to make it go right. We use them every day. In some parts of the U.S., the clack of typewriter keys can still be heard. Here's the thing that I found fascinating about this story was, there's a place right here in Metro Atlanta, in Tucker, Georgia, that sells these typewriters. So they're like a big company that sells typewriters. Yeah. And the other interesting thing, and I'll tell you who this is after we're done recording. Just the other day, I was with a founder.
Okay.
And I was in his office.
Yeah.
And he had a typewriter. I had just read this story and I was like, dude, what do you have this typewriter here for? And he tells me, he was like, well, I write up thank you notes sometimes. And he's like, I think it's a little bit more personal if I do it on the typewriter. It looks like a little bit more friendly. And he's like, yeah, sometimes I still make mistakes and stuff. And then he'll like cross it out or whatever.
I love the idea of doing thank you notes on a typewriter. My dad for years has tried to get me to write more thank you notes to send to people. And I think it's a smart move. I just have a tendency to not do it even though I should. But I did recently actually do that. Like I wrote, like for the 48 and 48 like board of directors and some key volunteers, I wrote handwritten thank you notes and like sent them a little something. And it wore me out. Like it's very tiring to write all that. Like having a typewriter specifically for thank you. That'd be kind of cool, actually. I like that idea a lot.
Yeah. This is actually, I'm glad we're talking about this because I think I should do the same thing too. Like people appreciate getting things in the mail because you don't generally nowadays.
Yeah,
like,
that's right. Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I got a card or anything in the mail handwritten. Like, everybody sends out those like holiday ones, which they're always like, what is it, minted.com or whatever. I don't feel like you get them and you're like, you sent this to like 1,000 people. You uploaded the same thing. And
That's right. Yeah.
So it's not really, but especially if you send it out with no
no context at all.
It's not your whatever. It's just like out of the blue it comes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like people would appreciate that. So.
I got an out of the blue card yesterday. It was to the Walker family, and it was from Shutterfly, and I opened it up and it's a graduation notice of a graduate girl that I've never seen in my whole life, and I don't recognize her name or the high school she's graduating from. And I'm just like, what is happening here?
Are you going to the party?
No, there was no other information at all. It was just like literally the photo, her name, and the high school and the year. And I was like, I don't know what's happening right now. Did my kids know this person? Like, I've never even heard. I think it was like Lexington High School. I don't even know. Maybe it's in Kentucky. I don't know anybody there. I don't know what's happening.
I don't think we have a high school name for the city in Lexington.
It was very strange. I don't know but back to the typewriter story. We didn't say it's a story about a shop that fixes typewriters and how surprising it is that there's enough typewriters to continually be fixed on a regular basis, that this person not only has a shop, but has employees in that shop fixing like 20 to 25 typewriters a week or something, which is wild. That's the story. So
what was interesting, there was one author that was in there that was like, she got frustrated. It's apparently an author that's written a lot of books, like 15 books, that has now moved from the computer to a typewriter for first drafts and final drafts. Because just getting distracted on the computer with notifications and this, that, and the other and everything. And on the typewriter, there's nothing else.
Well, right? So there's actually a huge trend for writers doing this. There's actually a friend of ours, I think you know him, Robert. He does this. So he's got a device that just has a keyboard and a screen for text input, and you type a whole book into it, and then plug it up to a computer, and it just spits out a text file with everything you typed. And so there's this trend for people it's a very old device. There's a new device that's expensive and doesn't work as well. And there's an old device, I forget what it's called. And he got one off of eBay for like $20 or whatever, and uses that to do all of his writing. And he's written several books, and it's wild. But that's awesome. I get it. Yeah. You don't want to be distracted. I mean, you could just turn off Wi-Fi. I mean, in all fairness, like that, like I'm just saying, like that's an option to just turn off the Wi-Fi and write. But I get it. I do.
Yeah.
So.
Tech wreck, time to get your tech wreck.
Tech wreck. Chicky.
Tech wreck. Time to get your tech wreck.
Okay, Adam, it is time for Tech Recs. What do you have for us this week?
I'm going to recommend something simple. It's a USB-C to Lightning adapter. And so if you still have like the old Lightning plug-in iPhone, like I do, sadly, but you've got a bunch of USB-C cords, you can just plug this adapter on and, use it with your iPhone. And it's just helpful and easier to have just one cord instead of having to have two. So
is it called Thunder?
It should be called Thunder. Thunder, the USB-C to Lightning adapter. Yeah, that's clearly
comes after Lightning.
So. That's a missed branding opportunity for sure.
Yeah, totally. No doubt, I will admit that I stole that from the movie Cars.
I mean, obviously,
Lightning McQueen is calling other people Thunder. And
he's calling Chick Hicks Thunder. If you're going to be, let's be specific. Chick Hicks. He calls him Thunder. Why Thunder? Because Thunder comes after Lightning. Yeah, that's right.
It's a great line. It's a great line.
Ka-chow. Anyway, what's your tech rec for this week?
Mine's a simple one. It's a free one too. I found this little website, Calendar. You can click on it and it will actually let you print an entire year calendar on one single piece of paper. I find that super interesting and useful. If you want to like plan for kind of bigger things like, hey, we're going to take vacation during this time or whatever.
Yeah.
This is not something that you could use as like a daily planner.
Yeah.
this is really a great way of giving you a holistic view of the entire year. And kind of figure out, as a individual or as a family or whatever it is, what's going to be happening. So, check it out. The link is in the show notes. It doesn't really have a name that's searchable. So just, it's called Calendar, but just check it out and maybe you'll print it out.
All right. So since you're talking about calendars, I will promo a calendar product created by a friend of mine from years ago. He's been doing this forever. It's called the New Year Calendar, NEU year.net. And it's like this giant, like poster board or bigger size calendar that's the entire year in one spot. And it looks really nice. Like it's very well designed. So if you need like a big calendar, like that's your jam. So,
and honestly, so I know him too. That's what this reminded me of. This is obviously a lot more condensed, but his calendar is definitely something that you could actually use to do a little bit more detailed planning. And I think a lot of people use his calendars for like companies to kind of plan for larger things and put your trade shows on there or whatever, and so kind of really understand what's happening throughout the year. So there you go.
Well done. All right, Sanjay, how can our listeners find and connect with you?
They can find me at sanjayparekh.com. What about you, Adam?
You can find me at adamjwalker.com.
Dun, dun, dun.